Now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall move on to the another activity or an important activity of this particular session, the panel discussion on the theme of AI in action, transforming daily life and driving industrial innovation. We have various experts participating in the session, and the discussion will be moderated by Dr. Dasharathraj Shetty, Associate Professor in the Department of Data Science and Computer Applications, MIT Manipal. Before I request him to take over, it is my duty to introduce him to the gathering. Dr. Shetty, as I mentioned before, is a member of the faculty fraternity of MIT. He is a computer engineer who holds a doctorate in computer vision, an MBA in finance, and an MPhil in management. He has more than 100 publications in Scopus and Web of Science indexed journals. He has 16 design patents and 4 utility patents. And he is a co-founder of Ganglia Technologies Private Limited, Manipal, and a faculty member, as I mentioned before, in the Department of Data Science and Computer Applications. He also serves as the Vice President of Micro Sauharda Cooperative Limited, demonstrating his dedication to fostering financial inclusion and cooperative development. Dr. Shetty is also a certified management trainer accredited by the All India Management Association. His excellence in management has been recognized with various prestigious certifications of excellence from Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Awards. Most recently, India Today magazine honored Dr. Shetty as one of the top 10 leaders instrumental in maintaining India's position as a global bright spot in 2023. With this brief introduction, I request Dr. Dasharathraj Shetty to take over. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the time they arrange the chairs and the podium, yesterday I was talking to Dr. Manu. He was we were discussing about one term called as upavasa. You know what is upavasa? It's not English word for fasting. It's about eating right things at the right time at right intervals. So we often, now I think Vijay and his team have put me in such a spot that I should not break that upavasa. Means you eat right food at right time. So they've exactly given me half an hour so that we don't exceed that half an hour spot. And now all of you, whatever models you develop and whatever studies you conduct and whatever papers you publish is ultimately has to be consumed by the industry and the end users. So this panel, what I have today is picked up from the end users of whatever research you carry out. So I have people from the medical fraternity, I have people from the supply chain, I have people from the defense as well, who cater to the defense sector. I have Dr. Praveen Shastry. Dr. Praveen Shastry is a distinguished radiologist and a healthcare leader with an extensive academic and professional portfolio. And he's holding multiple degrees, and some of the full forms I don't know either. MD in MD, DNB, EDIR, DICR, MNA, MS, and MBA in healthcare. And he's renowned for his expertise in radiology and healthcare management. And he's one person who actually is a part of one big group called as 5C network, who actually use the neural networks and deep learning models for radio diagnosis and practically use it for giving your reports. And the models they have trained has used terabytes of data and lakhs of samples. So you imagine the precision of the models that they have developed. And I'm also proud to say that he's my PhD student as well now. Okay. Next, I have Dr. Manu Sudhi. Dr. Manu Sudhi is a combination of Ayurveda and allopathy medicine. He's a BA MS in Ayurveda and MBBS and MD. So he's a combination of allopathy and he's a combination of Ayurveda. He brings in best of both the sides, and he is also doing PhD. He's planning how to treat patients using non-invasive diagnosis methods, and he's also pursuing PhD in MIT. And once again, I'm proud that he's my student as well. And I have Mr. Mr. Mayur Shetty, and Mayur Shetty is our own alumni, and Mayur is a founder and CEO of Blackfrog Technologies. He's the alumni of Manipal, and so under his leadership, the company has developed, I'll have to do it. Under his leadership, the company has developed, patented technologies for the secure last mile delivery of temperature sensitive vaccines. During COVID times, we felt the need for that. Earning over 11 national awards and international acclaim, his Blackfrog solutions have developed, are deployed at around 14 plus Indian states, ensuring safe delivery of over 2 lakh doses of critical vaccines in both rural and remote areas. And now he's focusing in African continent as well. And he has a fellowship at Cambridge University, Judge Business School, which was sponsored by BIRAC, Government of India. So currently he leads the Blackfrog initiatives in developing an end-to-end vaccine traceability system and a digital platform to enhance immunization and process efficiency. So my dear friends, we have a panel which has, and I've been discussing with my friend since long and I forgot about him only. I have our own Vijay Shanthagiri. He's a person, he's the CEO of Analogica and Certisure, the two innovative ventures. One tries to give placements to the technical graduates and postgraduates. Another caters to the defense systems and so on. So we have people from the supply chain, Mayur, we have from radiology, Dr. Shastry, we have Dr. Manu, who is from the emergency medicine, and we have from the defense domain, Dr. Vijay. So we have people, practitioners almost from all areas. Now, with this brief introduction, I welcome them and you as well for the panel discussion. So, friends, I think the word artificial intelligence was first coined in 1956 in a Dartmouth Summer School Research Project conference, like similar project, maybe conference in 1956. Since then, it has now just not been a keyword or a buzzword, but it is in action today, and more into action because of the generative AI. I think my friend before spoke about many of those parts. So, we'll start our panel discussion with this brief introduction to the topic as well as our resource persons. Now, my first question would go to Praveen. Dr. Praveen, now how has AI transformed your approach to radiology diagnostics as such?
Very good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank the organizing team of IEEE and Dr. Dasharathraj Shetty sir for having me over here. So I'd just like to give you all a perspective as to what a radiologist does. So, and thereafter going to the implication of how AI has transformed how we work. So in medicine, AI has done, there's a lot of scope for AI to work around. But in radiology, it's a low-hanging fruit for the reason that we have structured data. For every stack of images, we have a report to train the models. That having been said, as a radiologist, we actually procure images, interpret it, and generate a report which is very source of communication with the referring consultant. So AI has been extremely supportive at every step, maybe image procuring. So it has actually standardized image procuring. And there are a lot of challenges. I'll not get into the the deeper aspects of it, but we can actually procure images. We are multi-centric. We are pan-India presence with more than 100 centers. So maintaining standards and procuring the right set of sequences for a given case is very instrumental to help the patient and to get the right diagnosis. So by deploying AI, helping a simple LLM model which says what scan, what sequences have to be taken in a given condition has phenomenally helped standardize the entire image acquisition process. Thereafter, we have built routing processes wherein the most qualified radiologist would actually, the case would end up with that person rather than somebody else. Say a neuroradiologist would get a brain case. A MSK or a musculoskeletal radiologist would actually be reporting a knee or a shoulder case. So this routing system has also made sure that the efficiency has increased multifold. Next, we have multiple computer vision models. Earlier, we were mainly working on CNNs. Thereafter, we have resorted to vision transformers and now VLMs. So we've built multiple models which have great accuracy, somewhere upwards of 90% accuracy in image detection. And to wrap things up, we have again large language models which can generate reports. So by deploying AI at every single step, we have actually seen firsthand that the duration or the turnaround time has been reduced approximately, like a study has been done wherein 42% reduction in turnaround time has done. So that has impacted hundreds of lives and we're just beginning. Very excited to see how this manifests in days to come.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll move on to Dr. Sudhi now. Dr. Manu, you come from the emergency medicine department, which is a time-sensitive thing in the sense you'll have to take action immediately. How has AI helped your domain as such?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, for that great question. I'm from emergency medicine. To give you a basic workflow in the emergency department, so we see multiple sick patients at one point of time. So I'll be dealing with 5 to 6 patients who are sick at a single point of time. So the initial step in the management is generating differentials. So they'll give us symptoms, what are they suffering from. So what all could this be? What could be the most probable diagnosis? So when we are seeing multiple patients at a time, it is possible that we might miss on one differential. So if we have an AI model which is giving us all the probable diagnosis and suggesting us what investigations to send, we don't miss out on that. So that would be the first step. The next would be actually making the diagnosis. That is where we would look at the lab data, then we would look at the images, X-rays, CT, MRIs, ultrasound images. So again, there are a lot of AI models which are giving us the diagnosis. Say when we're looking at CTs and MRIs, sir is a radiologist. So we will be able to interpret CT and MRIs at a very basic level. Otherwise, we'd have to approach a radiologist for the same. So if the radiologist is not available, and we have a well-trained AI model which can give us the diagnosis, it can go a long way in making that diagnosis and that patient getting that treatment, especially in strokes where the treatment has to be started within 4 hours and the patient has come after 3.5 hours. Now, we are not going to wait for the report to come and then start treatment. So that is somewhere where we would use. The next step is administering treatment. Again, AI models have shown that it can predict what will be the most effective treatment. Giving a very simple example, some patients do respond very well to one analgesic or a particular type of antibiotic. So again, making that decision becomes easier for us. And the last one would be disposition. Sir talked about it in turnaround time. So we have a lot of inflow of patients. We need to quickly manage them, stabilize them, and then shift. Maybe a discharge, it may be admission to a high dependency unit or an intensive care unit. So again, helping us in those decision-making processes is what we are looking at. We are a new specialty in the medical fraternity, emergency medicine as such. So we are looking at all possibilities where AI can help us in this process.
Thank you, Doctor. Now moving on to Mayur. Mayur, earlier when I used to search Google for cold supply chain, everything spoke about canned food and ice creams. But today even vaccine also need a cold supply chain. Can you give me an overview as how AI is making noise in your field and how are you using it?
Thank you, Professor. Maybe I'll give a quick context to the kind of work we do. We run a medical refrigeration company. We help in transport of thermally sensitive biologicals like blood, culture, serum, sputum, vaccines, anything that require temperature control essentially. But vaccines are our focus because ever since COVID, now the entire global health focus has gone toward future epidemic preparedness. We don't want the next epidemic to be as bad as COVID. There's also a lot of significant investment in malaria and dengue vaccines now, not just routine vaccines in India. So we help with the last mile delivery. We developed a portable battery powered system, so you're able to carry these biologicals to very rural and remote communities. And essentially, end of the day, it's a refrigerator, right? So Industry 4.0 kind of forced us into having an IoT system in it. That was the first step, where we were monitoring temperature, location, where is the asset going, who is getting immunized, who is being left out. So that was the first step of what we were doing back in 2022. Right now, we've taken it one step ahead because we're able to leverage existing AI tools to kind of incorporate other hardware existing technologies like barcode scanners, QR code scanners at the point of delivery. So essentially what we're trying to solve is the unfortunate situation in India is that the shoes we get on Amazon today, they have more traceability than the vaccines we receive. So that's essentially what we want to solve. So every time a pregnant mother or a infant is getting a vaccine, we scan the vaccine vials and we correlate it against the patient ID card so that there is traceability of who got which vaccine from which batch, which lot, which manufacturer. That backward traceability is what we built. This will ensure that you're never at risk of getting like a hepatitis A vaccine instead of hepatitis B vaccine, a recalled vaccine, expired vaccine, counterfeit vaccine, lot of challenges in the supply chain today. All of these can be curbed at the point of administering. So now with AI tools, we are able to build this inventory management system. So there's a saying in the vaccine supply chain that you have to store just the right amount at the right time. The primary health centers that store the vaccines, if you understore, you're obviously not vaccinating enough people. But if you overstore, the challenge is it always goes to waste. There's power failure, there's human error, lot of reasons that the inventory goes bad. So having that right inventory has been a challenge, and that's something that we've been able to solve now because you have this data of how many doses are going out, how many are being administered, how many are coming back. So you're able to plan your supply chain better, inform value chain decisions. That's one end of things. I think the more obvious or the interesting bit as an engineer is probably on the predictive service part of things. End of the day, it's a hardware product. It's going into the field. It's going to break down. So we want to know when will it break down, what is going to break down. Is the fan going to turn off first, the battery voltage going to go off? So I think that's very critical in healthcare because you can't have technology dropping the ball. I mean, even from a COVID standpoint, the scientists have done an incredible job, right? And within a year's time, we had the vaccines. The doctors and the frontline workers are all doing an incredible job. It's the engineers. We've failed. About 65% of vaccines go to waste today because of poor cold chain. That's not a health problem. That's a technological challenge. That's what we wanted to get at the forefront of to ensure that if something is going to break, if a refrigerator is going to break down, we know ahead of time. Like just to end with an example, the corneal tissues that get transported. So in India, we have a huge challenge of donation, right, for eyes. And in cities like Mumbai, close to 75% of donated eyes go to waste. And India's average is 50%. 50% of all donated eyes go to waste. And it's terrible because you have to tell somebody that please donate your eyes, but then there is a 1 in 2 chance that we will discard it because of poor temperature or how we maintain it. So it's imperative that we know that our equipment is 100% at all times, and if there is going to be a breakdown, we know ahead of time so that we can figure out an alternative. So I think that's what AI is helping us with better decision making so that we're able to bring quality. And that's a challenge in India, right? We are very proud that we've delivered 1.2 billion doses of vaccines, but how many of them are died effective, right? I think AI is going to be instrumental in ensuring that we don't just talk about numbers, we don't just talk about quantity, but the quality of our healthcare delivery improves.
Thank you, Mayur. Dr. Vijay, when this Ukraine war started, we also were bothered about the humanitarian crisis.
Okay.
But we were also observing drones, we were also observing, how, humans are being replaced mainly by the machinery. So, from you being a person who is supplied to the defense field, can you give us an overview about your work as what you do? Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me here. I actually finished my MTech in Astronomy and Space Engineering here in MIT. And after that I went to work with the defense, and then now I'm in AI, catering to defense problems using AI. So you brought up the right topic about Ukraine. When Ukraine happened, and if anybody would understand that Ukraine being a smaller country and Russia being the real big, machine. So, but still, the winds, everything favored Ukraine because of a term called asymmetric warfare. Okay, it means what? It means you have a very big warship, which costs crazy. And then you have a very small unit, a drone, which can carry a specific kind of bomb, and it is going to just be placed in the exact position where it's going to impact or maximize the damage. So what happened here? A very big asset got neutralized by a very small investment. So this is the asymmetricity of the warfare, right? Now what we do is sometimes we are called because of my background with, because I'm being specific about why I'm being called for them. Otherwise there are many people who can do it. But why my skills are needed there is, one is because I understand AI, then I understand the spatial temporal information system, because space-time objects, right? Missile is a space-time object. So in generic, if you see mathematically, if you see, it's a space-time object. How do you collect that data? What the physics? Now, then you have to now understand that some things are governed by actual physics equations, but some things are random, as you know, both of them were talking about, Dr. Das and Dr. Richa Sharma were talking about the same thing, that so many things actually is undecided, uncertain, right? So now you have to model that. So all these things get modeled, that's where we go, and we simulate for them to know whether their asset can be neutralized by how many drones. Or if there are 100 drones, can you track those 100 drones, right? So I wouldn't like to say much because it's all sensitive. Somebody, you record and send it, then I'll lose my project. So I don't want to say much. There's another aspect which is more interesting, where we have an EdTech as well called Certisure, and the name says certified for sure. That's Certisure. Okay.
Because I was asking how do I pronounce it, you know.
So then how do we use AI to give value to this name? Because what does it mean when I say certified for sure? Somebody comes to me to get certified, the person has to go through series of assessments. Now if I employ one person to completely assess everybody time and again, the cost of the course increases because there is human involvement everywhere. So if I use AI to generate a lot of assignments and then let the person undergo, then monitor just the number that the person is getting. So I don't think I have already employed AI to personalize a training for somebody to bring them from a certain stage to a next level, which then is suitable for the industry. So we are trying to build that, and it's one of the very good things that is happening, and we are collaborating with many universities to bring the systems with them. So yeah, that's what we do. There's another question.
Thank you. Today morning when Dr. Rana was addressing us, he came up with, people talking to robots and robots replacing people and there's a great job loss. Recently, I'm one of the quality auditors, and I had been to one of the largest toothpaste manufacturing and filling factories. So when I saw that, toothpaste filling is automated, the tube manufacturing is automated, even packaging is automated, even that large strip what you put on the carton, that is automated. Only the driver of the trucks is what is a human being, and the people who oversee the factory, they are human beings. So I don't know where we will stop. Now, when Dr. Manu was talking, he said that if there's a critical situation, I don't need a radiologist to take decision, and I can get a quick overview of the radiology document reading. Doctor, what's your take? Will the radiologists will be replaced, or will they be helping, or how is it going to go?
So to this, I'd actually want to counter saying radiologists can actually never be replaced. No matter how many times, let's say there are 100 instances, none of the solutions are 100% right. It's not 100% correct right now. Even if there is 98%, those 2% chances, if that leads to a loss of life or morbidity, who has to take blame? Is it the developer? Is it the company that sponsored them? Is it the hospital or the patient who opted that over a radiologist? So I'll just take a minute to tell you a story. Apparently, just like how we have self-driven cars, there is a story that says we had self-driven aircrafts. So when it was all ready to take off, the very team that built the self-driven aircrafts were asked, would you trust your machine over a manned aircraft for you and your family? All of them, I repeat, all of them said they would rather prefer a manned aircraft. And healthcare is no different. So when it comes to life or death, it would always be a doctor who's been trained over years for decades. And there are a lot of issues around. When there is, let's say, something around cancer. how would the feeling be if we get to know it through AI or an experienced doctor? There are a lot of areas wherein doctors are irreplaceable, not at least for our generation. That's my point.
Thank you. This story was told as a joke by my teacher. He said that, once an aeronautical teacher designed a helicopter, and the teachers who taught the student were asked to board the helicopter, and none of the teachers were ready to board the helicopter because they knew their students. But one teacher who took the class for 3 years, continuous years, sat inside the helicopter. Then others three were shocked. How did you sit? No, I know them. It will not fly. Okay. It won't take off, Pauline. It would not take off. Anyway, thank you, sir. Now, coming back to Dr. Vijay, how will it revolutionize defense as such? Will we reduce the number of soldiers, or how will the defense industry change because of AI?
I would like to say how I would like it to change, because I can't know how it will change, but I would say less war. I mean, more AI, everyone's capacity increases, and everybody knows you make one mistake, the effect will be really, dangerous. So eventually you will end up with world peace. And first of all, why do you have wars? Because of resource mismanagement. Correct. So once you have everything, AI, with supply chain and medical and, everywhere, then obviously I think everywhere the war is going to come down, and that's what I would say. But to make a country stronger in terms of its defense capability, there are so many things which are already being put in place, and the most important thing is something related to data mining, where you flag an event. So now the LLMs come into the picture, where everybody see basically data are of text and numbers, so everybody is either collecting quantitative or qualitative data. Eventually LLMs take a decision on it. So there are situations where every day reportings are being done everywhere in terms of text, image, audio. They're even listening, they're seeing, all in terms of like how you detect in radiology a certain event. Like that, there are certain events that should not be happening, so you will use that image to detect them using drones. So this is the most important area, and you will not lose jobs here, because these are very critical. You can't simply trust the machine to take the decisions like this. So it's just augmented. I mean, eventually the decision will be taken by the generals with a lot of experience.
Okay. I agree with him that wars should not take place, but economists would not agree. They want elections and wars continuously, because this generates employment and money flow in the market. One election, we are talking about, it will actually reduce the money flow. Many elections are good sometimes. Anyway, coming back to Mayur. Mayur, you said, engineers, it's a failure of the engineers, maybe not because of the medical fraternity that led to so much of loss of vaccines or loss of organs during the transport. What challenges would you like to throw open to the engineering fraternity who are watching us, or maybe who are present here, to come up with new solutions, or come write papers or do research on that?
Yeah, I think health is a great space. I mean, specifically from an MIT standpoint, I think we operate in a lot of silos here, right? MIT does not know what KMC is up to, and KMC does not know what's happening here, which is a huge opportunity, I think. To kind of stress on what Sir said earlier, I don't think there is any reason for apprehension at large. I'm not a big believer in Terminator end of the world scenario because of AI. I think we should have a healthy respect, and I think adoption should happen. Also from even if it's from a standpoint of global crisis, right? I think we should look at it the same way that we looked at nuclear weapons at some point, right? It didn't lead to the destruction of the world as everybody envisioned. Actually, nuclear weapons are the reason that there aren't that many wars today, right? Everybody's too scared of the nuclear option, so it's keeping things at peace. And I think the same thing applies to AI as well. I think we're at that. India is a unique challenge. If I had to come back to healthcare on students and engineers leveraging AI, because I think government of India is a little apprehensive. Generally, we are not very keen. I mean, we've not been keen on drones either, right? I think if we took a step back, the drone revolution happened in 21-22. And when we spoke to, so when we wanted to transport vaccines in Northeast India, we wanted to mount our systems, retrofit it onto drones so that they can get into these remote areas in Arunachal Pradesh. One of the challenges of letting private companies, startup companies to get into the space was, and the DPIIT secretary actually told me this, he's like, Mayur, like, what if like somebody sticks a plastic explosive on a drone and flies it into the parliament? Right? So that's a fundamental worry that we have, and and from a health standpoint, India does an incredible job when it comes to public health. Right? We have a huge machinery, and this starts with point of care devices or any digital tools and goes all the way up to AI, where there is a little bit of apprehension. So I would say that smaller solutions or startup companies that want to do this, and this is a model we took up as well. Smaller island nations, smaller nations in the African continent, much easier to pilot. They're a lot more responsive to newer technologies. The regulatory pathway is much easier to navigate. So I think, and that's not very well known, right? Like we generally, what we want is, if I will build a solution, does it work in my house first, right, before I take it out? And that might not be the case. Like, I could be an incredible chef, I make the best butter chicken, but if my family does not eat meat, it's going to dishearten me. So I think it's important for engineering, especially MIT students, to look outside of their own realm of things, specifically network with more of your peers from the healthcare side of things, and I think that'll open up a lot more problems and then subsequently solutions.
Thank you, Mayur. So he speaks about networking. Okay. Now I'll go back to Manu. Manu, you see the patients directly, and once patients come to you, then the reports, you ask their reports. Now, do you think, as doctor said, that they would not be ready to accept technology directly? But how do you see, if you talk about robotic surgery or if you talk about machine-generated reports, are the patients ready for it?
So before I go into that, I just want to clarify that regarding radiology, what I meant was...
No, we know. I was in a lighter way, don't worry. I put it in a fix.
I was talking about centers which don't have access to radiologists, not our center where they are available. So the question is, there is a lot of talk going around. See, if you just look around, there are a lot of apps which, if you give your symptoms, will give you a probable diagnosis. It can suggest treatment. Then what is the need of a doctor? So there's a lot of talk going on, around that. So I can talk about my specialty, emergency medicine. I talk to you about how many critical decisions has to be made over my shift, say probably 7 to 8 hours. So by the end of the shift, there is definitely a decision fatigue that sets in because of all the critical decisions you take. So AI in that sense can help us a lot in our day-to-day practice, giving us differentials, suggesting investigations, all that. So that decision fatigue can be definitely reduced, and it can make life easier for us. But there are a lot of skill-based things that we do. Every doctor for that matter. It might be procedures, minor procedures, major procedures. So AI is not in a position to take over that. Even when we are talking about robotic surgeries, it's always that robot is manned by a surgeon. It is not completely automated that you have a problem, you're on the table, and the robot takes over completely. There is always a surgeon who's keeping a check on it. So that, I think at this point or in very near future, we are not in a position where AI or robots can completely take over. That would be my take.
Thank you, Manu. So it's 1 now, and I'll try to conclude. I'll ask each one of the panelists to conclude. You also please state the challenges that you face in your respective domains while you conclude. Over for concluding statement, Dr. Vijay.
So let me conclude. First, let me talk about the challenges that we have, especially when it comes to defense. Of course, the tech is easy. LLMs have made our life very easy, so there's no challenge there. Especially with defense, I'm actually appreciative of the work of the doctors here that they've actually implemented it successfully. Most of the imaginations that we have in defense, only half implemented, 75%, it won't actually give the result. Okay, because the kind of expectations that we have from it, it doesn't happen. Why? Because we are not everywhere. The kind of sensing devices that we have, as Dr. Das was saying, the noise in the measurement, that we are not able to get that perfect measure in, to store it properly and then use it. So that noisy nature of that feedback that we get is always an issue, and that is not an AI problem, that is an engineering problem and semiconductor problem, how good your sensing devices are. So once we get that in properly, I think all the math is in place. So then to conclude, I always wanted to say this, and what I wanted to say is when it comes to the anxiety of AI taking over the world and everything, the gist of it is, you have to compare AI with humans. Humans work because of fear and love. Okay, either you are afraid of something or you love something. But there is no way you can mathematically input the idea of fear and love into an algorithm. Right? So there is no way you can actually one day get up and say that Jarvis kind of a being or a vision kind of a being is around taking decisions. It cannot happen. I mean, if there is somebody who wants to argue on that, maybe they can talk to me, but I've thought enough about it because I grew up watching Star Trek, where there was space and then there was a robot called Data. Right? My entire life has been about this. So anyways, so that's what my take on it is. So
I'll get back to that. Both of my
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think I'll just maybe quickly talk about what I think is a little bit of something to worry about. And I spend all of my day just keeps constantly saying vaccines kara ho rahe, vaccines kara ho rahe. So please give me the privilege to be a little informal about this since I'm in my alma mater. I think specifically with you using AI on an everyday basis, right? I think one of the things we commonly do, and I advise my staff not to do this, but sometimes I do. A simple thing like I got my blood test done, blood panel done a couple of weeks ago, just enzyme test for liver and pancreas. And when you get the report, you usually have this column that says this is the particular range that is acceptable for you, right? And I want to know a little more than that. I want to know what is the median and where do I really fit into this? Some things that I'm risk at. Am I really at risk? I want to just verify it. So the first thing I'll do is I'll open up ChatGPT, I'll upload it, and I'll get the analysis on that, right? And that's kind of concerning because I'm not just giving my personal data. It's my name, my date of birth, my blood group, my entirety of blood panel, my IP address. Everything is just like going into a larger system, which is a little scary. But it goes slightly beyond that. I think the challenge is also that we don't just stop it. Like and this is a regular advisory we have in the company. If you want to kind of polish your email, it's okay, use ChatGPT. But then if you're please do not upload anything confidential, right? That's something that we repeatedly keep saying. But then I realized I was speaking to one of my college friends. She works in an MNC, and I think something we do is we have this WhatsApp battle with people, especially professional peers, right? And you don't want to sound so harsh about things. So generally people upload it on ChatGPT and then you get a revised version and then you send. So we were just laughing about something because she sent me a message where it started with, here's a revised and polished version of your message, which was nice. It was funny at that moment, but then it got me thinking that we are letting these systems build very particular and detailed profiles of each of us. It started with my location, IP address, my blood group and my blood panel, but now my personality traits, what do I like, what irks me, everything is being put into these profiles, which I think is a little scary. Rather than this dystopian Terminator scenario, I think it's scary that a pharma company knows exactly who I am, more than my hospital and my hospital records do. I've spent 30 years in Manipal and my KMC's record is about this fat, and I don't think it comes close to what LLMs have on me today. I think that's a little scary. That's my closing notes.
Thank you, Mayur. I think they use your data. About love and affection, the person who spoke about time management in the morning, he showed me a lady bot. If he gets frustrated in the evening, he talks to her. It shows all the love and affection to him. Moving on to Doctor. Doctor, the challenges that you face and some ethical considerations. I think both of them have raised that. I think you can touch upon that as well.
Definitely, sir. So data privacy, building these models, we have a lot of challenges, wherein we do not have strict guidelines when we go about building these models. We have to anonymize the data, multi-step anonymization. So we don't have a proper AI framework as of yet in our country. So that is something we have to look up to. And then coming to the ethical considerations, when things go wrong, we do not know whom to blame. So, and to conclude, I'd like to emphasize on this part. We'll have to worry about who the end user is when we are building a solution, being a part of multiple things. So the end user matters. So speaking about radiology, there are tools which are radiologist replacement tools. There are radiologist triage tools and radiologist augmentation tools. So radiology replacement tools are not for RADs per se. It's for the other doctors or the general public. So what is it that we want to build? If we have a proper clarity on that, the outcome will really be impactful. That's my take on this.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Manu, your concluding remarks.
So, to conclude, while there is a lot of scope for AI in our daily practice and in future, where couple of areas where we would like to expand to, as a doctor who is in the bedside treating patients, there is always a healing touch, that personal touch which you give to your patients. So that is very important for a doctor-patient relationship. So again, we are in no position to replace that at this point. While we are all advocates for AI, I would always like to stick back to my basics of going and talking to the patient and then examining them, explaining to them what actually is the problem, and then treating them, giving that healing touch. So that would be my conclusion.
Thank you, Doctor.
Just to emphasize on the same thing, to suggest treatment is for AI, but to cure is always for a doctor.
So, friends, we had panelists from the diverse backgrounds talking to each one of you. Maybe during your lunch break, you can talk to them and ask questions. We are running out of time. Before they tell me to stop, I will stop it. So what we came to know today is AI is no longer theoretical. It has already started impacting us. Whether it will take away our jobs or not, we don't know. But it will surely have a positive impact if used in the right manner. European Union has brought AI laws. Even that law is not clear as to, it has only told that, talks about the human good and how it will impact the human being, but they have told that it is evolved over the years. Even as Doctor said, it's not concrete as such, what is right, what is wrong, what has to be done, what should not be done as such. And AI will surely have a positive impact. It will take the skill set from, like Dr. Shastry is trained in a very good, our own group, KMC. So specialist doctors are in KMC, but what about the doctors who are not that specialized? So these AI tools maybe augment or help the doctors who are not that skilled to take better decisions. And Dr. Manu said, touch, doctor's touch. You might have felt during Corona when doctors were standing there and wearing a mask and talking to you about that, how you are feeling. No machine can replace that doctor's touch. And AI will surely help in the supply chain, maybe predictive analytics and so on. That's what we understood from Mayur. And we don't want to ask, as Dr. Vijay said, AI may help us to reduce the number of wars so that they may act as deterrents. So these are the things what we came to know today. Thank you one and all. You are a great audience. And thank you so much, and thank you all the panelists. I thank all the organizers for giving us this opportunity. Thank you. Have a great day ahead and happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shetty, and all the experts. Before you leave, we would like to thank you formally from our end. So I request Dr. Pavan to present a memo to Dr. Vijay. I'm sure you all enjoyed and had an enriching experience of this panel discussion. Thank you, Dr. Vijay. And I request Dr. Pavan to present a memento to Mayur Shetty. Thank you. Thank you, Mayur, for coming here and spending your valuable time. He was our student and has always been very interactive. Every time he has responded to the call from MIT. Thank you so much. May I now request Dr. Princey to present a memento to Dr. Manu Sudhi. Thank you, Dr. Manu. And I request you to present a memento to Dr. Praveen as well. Dr. Praveen Shastry. Thank you, sir, for joining us here today. And I request Mr. Nitesh Naik to present a memento to the main person who has held this whole show together, Dr. Dasharathraj Shetty. Thank you for running us a wonderful panel discussion.
Look here, ma'am. One second.